Season 2, Fiction. The Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo in this series are fictional characters. Part 1. Who are you? Why does my head hurt so much? Lan Wangji wondered. The blazing hot sun was beating down on him. From its position, it appeared to be around midday, but his last memory was an evening one. He checked for physical signs of a blow to his head, but couldn't find any. After a few more minutes, he sat up and slowly opened his eyes. Where am I? Nothing looked familiar. He carefully stood up, using his sword for support, and scanned his surroundings. He was standing in a field. There were no familiar landmarks. How did I get here? There were houses not too far away. At least, he assumed they were houses, because they didn't look like any houses he had ever seen before. But they had what looked like windows and doors. Houses meant people, and people meant he could ask someone for directions. He had to get home. Wei Wuxian would be waiting for him. After waiting for a few minutes, he noticed what looked like a path. It had a strange, dark gray, almost black color, but it was definitely a path. Probably leads to the village, he thought. As he approached the path, he stopped. It smelled so bad. There was a distant noise that was closing in on him so quickly that he ducked behind a bush, not wanting to be seen until he knew what it was. Was it a demon? He had never seen anything move so fast. It had a shiny look, like a polished sword, and was making so much noise his head hurt even more. Worst was the foul-smelling smoke it was emitting. He had never seen a demon like that. He watched it move up the path towards the village. After a few moments, he started following it. What if it was going to hurt the villagers? He had to protect them. He heard a loud slamming noise, and then silence. Lan Wangji hesitated because he had never seen a demon like that before, so he had no idea how to deal with it, and the smoke it had spewed, along with the smell exuding from the path, were making his headache worse. His head had never hurt like this before. He felt strangely weak. Something was wrong with his spiritual power. No screams were coming from the village, so he stood there, trying to figure out his next move. Another strange object was moving down the path from the village towards him. It wasn't a demon, was it? It had that same shiny look, but it was much smaller, wasn't making the same noise or spewing nasty smoke. There was this man sitting on it, and he was waving an arm. What's he wearing? His hair. Lan Wangji had never seen a person with hair like that. Monks had shaved heads. Everyone else had long hair. Had he recently left the priesthood and was growing his hair out? So strange. Another minute, and he was close enough to see the man's face. Wei Ying? But why was he dressed like that? What happened to his hair? What was that thing? Wei Wuxian started talking, but Lan Wangji didn't understand what he was saying. After a few moments, and a torrent of words he didn't understand, Wei Wuxian stopped, peered closely at his face, and said, You don't look well. Lan Wangji breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, something intelligible. My head, Lan Wangji said. Come on, Wei Wuxian said, and grabbed his forearm. Lan Wangji recoiled. You are not Wei Ying. The man laughed. Of course not. Did you come here just to play tricks on me? He grabbed Lan Wangji by the arm again and was dragging him up the path, holding on to the strange contraption with his other hand. Lan Wangji was feeling so ill, he didn't protest. Indoors was strange but cool. The man led him to what appeared to be a narrow bed, and he sat down. You should probably lay down for a bit, the man said. How long have you been out in the sun like that? I'll get you some water. Lan Wangji sipped the water. The cup it was in looked strange, and the water had a strange taste to it, but it wasn't poisoned, so he gulped it all down. The man went to get more water. When he came back, he had a damp cloth in his other hand. Lan Wangji drank the water, and the man said something he didn't quite understand, something about makeup? Then he started applying the cloth to his face, talking incessantly. The man was looking at him confused. Then he looked at the cloth. Then he peered at his face more closely. Then he peered at the cloth again. Lan Wangji closed his eyes. willing himself to wake up from this strange dream. But when he opened his eyes again a minute later, the strange man was still there, and he was still in the strange place. "You should take off the headband," the man said, reaching to remove it. "You are not Wei Ying," Lan Wangji growled and pushed his hand away. "We already established that," the man said, grinning. "Did you come here just to play games with me?" Lan Wangji's confusion was growing. The man looked exactly like Wei Wuxian. His voice was the same. The way he smiled like Wei Wuxian made Lan Wangji's heart skip a beat. But he most definitely was not Wei Wuxian. "Who are you?" The man looked alarmed. "You really are ill," he said. He lifted Lan Wangji's head and pulled its long hair out to get it off his neck. "Maybe you should remove the wig," he said, pulling it up. Then he quickly stepped back and stared. "That isn't a wig. Did you actually grow your hair out, or—" More unintelligible words. "Who are you?" Lan Wangji asked again. The man stared at him. Could it be amnesia? Maybe I should get a doctor. No, that's not a good idea. He seemed unsure. Then he pulled something out of his garment and started tapping it. "You should get out of those clothes. It's too hot," he finally said. "A cold bath should help." He reached down and Lan Wangji pushed him away. "Stop touching me and tell me who you are." "All right, I'll humor you. My name is Xiao Zhan." He looked at him expectantly, as if he expected Lan Wangji to recognize the name. After a few moments of silence, the man asked him, "What's your name?" "Lan Wangji." "That's pretty funny. I'm not Wei Ying, but you are Lan Wangji. What game are we playing?" "How dare you use that name?" "Rude," Lan Wangji hissed. "Fine. I'm not Wei Wuxian, but you are Lan Wangji. You really are—" More strange words. It was all too much. His head felt like it would explode, and his spiritual power was drained. Lan Wangji closed his eyes and fell asleep.